here it says, if S is not the most qualified candidate for sheriff, right? Or is not the most qualified of the candidates, oh, bottom line. Not the most qualified candidates, then Anderson is. What does that mean about S and A? If S is not the most qualified, then A is the most qualified.
One of them is the most qualified?
One of them is, right? Because either S is going to be the most qualified, and then we don't know anything about A, or S is not going to be the most qualified, and A is going to be. So in my mind, I decided, okay, either S or A is the most qualified. Then they said, thus, oh, now we got the conclusion. Fast argument here. If the most qualified candidate is elected, and S is not elected, so S is not elected. If S is not elected, then it has to be A. That actually makes sense. It seems like a logical argument because it's either S or A is the most qualified, and if the most qualified elected and it's not S, then it must have been A. Yeah. I was thinking for half a second, like, wait, could someone else be the most qualified? But you can only have one most qualified candidate, right?
Yeah.
By definition. Okay. So what answers were you debating?
So, I mean, I chose E, and then I went back and saw like it was wrong and went over it again, and realized that B is correct.
Okay.
And I was debating E and B.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, so let's talk.
I'm really not, like, for me it was almost arbitrary, like choosing.
Sure, sure. So
be more precise.
I have good news for you. It's not arbitrary. If Perez is not the lowest bidder on the catering contract, then Sullivan is. So far, so good? Mm-hmm. If not the lowest, notice that, you guys, did you catch this? Relative, right? I hope you caught this. That made it easy to get rid of some of these other ones. Like C, there's no relative. Out. So, if Sullivan does not get the contract, and Perez does not get it either, we're done. The original was, it would have to be something like, so, if the lowest bidder gets the contract.
And it wasn't P, it was S.
And it wasn't P, then we would know it was S. But notice it says, then it would not be awarded to the lowest bidder. That was part of the then clause. The then clause needs to be a specific person, not this description of the kind of contract awarded. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Now take a look at B. If the lowest bidder on the sanitation contract is not Dylan, then it's Ramsey. So it's one or the other, right? Lowest bidder. So if the contract goes to the lowest bidder, that's the same thing as if the most qualified candidate is elected. And it does not go to Dylan, then it will go to Ramsey. It will go to the other person. Cool?
That makes perfect sense.
Great.